Hey guys, so today I thought we could talk about a type of food that I think we all love, but we all struggle with, and that is sugar. So I posted a blog post a couple weeks ago about how to cut down on sugar in your diet, and it's done really well. So I thought that I would jump on here and we could talk through it a little bit. Also, because for the month of July, I have been doing a no sugar added challenge with myself, and I've learned a few things along the way and thought that I would share them with you too. So I have my blog post up because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So if you see me looking over, that's what I'm looking at. First things first, raise your hand, give me a virtual high five. If you have a love-hate relationship with sugar. Me too. And I've definitely found ways to rein it in over the years, but it's always been something that I struggle with. So why is it that sugar is so addicting? Well, when we eat sugar, it releases the hormone called dopamine, and that's actually the feel-good hormone, similar to what you would get if you were addicted to things that really aren't good for you. But when your body has that feel-good for you sensation, it's gonna want more and more and more of it, which is why when we eat sugar, we feel great, maybe not so great afterwards, but our body kind of forgets about that, and then a couple hours later, the next day, we're back to craving that sugar again. So let's talk about some different ways that you can cut down on sugar in your diet. And before we do that, let's talk about first, real quick, the difference between added sugar and natural sugar. So you may notice when you look on nutrition labels now, the sugar is actually broken down as total sugar and then added sugar. So natural sugar is going to be any type of sugar that you would naturally find in your whole food. So mainly there's sugar in carrots, in oranges, in apples, in fruits, in different vegetables, in dates. So all of those are going to be sources of natural sugar when consumed in their whole form. Added sugar is any kind of sugar or sweetener that's been added to food to make it taste better or different. So that would even be something like orange juice, where oranges are natural sugar, but then you process them and you extract the juice and you add orange juice into a recipe and you've got added sugar. So that's the difference between added sugar and natural sugar. And I don't think that you need to cut out all sugars out of your diet, but just being aware of the differences is key if one of your goals is to cut down on sugar in your diet. So this past month, I've been doing a no sugar added challenge with an accountability partner of mine, and I'm not gonna lie, I may have cheated a few times because I was recipe testing and blamed it on work. But for the most part, it's been really eye-opening to realize how many of the foods I consume have sugar in them and how I'm able to satisfy my cravings without even healthier treats that have better for you sugars. So I have found myself eating a lot more fruit, and whenever I want a dessert, I've been making banana ice cream and putting a spoonful of nut butter in a date and eating that. And it hasn't really been that bad. I plan to kind of continue it, within moderation and still having splurges from time to time after the 30 days is up. But it's been really eye-opening to go on this challenge this past month. So first, let's talk about doing a dietary overhaul and kind of moving towards removing some sugars out of your diet. So the first thing that I'm always going to recommend is moving towards more natural sugars. So moving away from high fructose corn syrup, cane sugar to more natural sugars like maple syrup and honey and coconut sugar. Coconut sugar is one of my favorite because it's low glycemic, so it's not going to spike your blood sugar. And kind of moving away from those really processed sugars to more natural sources of sugar. The reason why you do that is because at the end of the day, sugar is still sugar, and your body processes it in a similar way. But I do think, based on my own experience and just from reading research studies, that the more processed sugars actually has more of an addicting effect in our body, and you'll find that your cravings start to shift when you move towards those more natural sugars. Okay, so once you've done that, you get comfortable with that, you get in the groove, maybe it's time to look at cutting down on added sugars in your diet, or maybe you do your own 30-day no sugar added challenge. So one of my tips is to become a food ingredient detective and really looking at your foods, what you're putting in your cart, and being aware of what all is in the ingredient list. I bet you would be so surprised at how many foods have added sugar. So the things you want to look for, and I'm going to read these off of my blog post, are anything that end in ose, like fructose, syrups, any kind of syrup, even if it's a kind of fruit syrup. Nectars, a lot of times there's a fruit nectar in foods, juices, and any mention of sugar or sweetener. So foods like sauces, beverages, even breads have these different kinds of added sugars, and it's important to educate yourself and look at what is in the food that you're putting in your cart and then putting in your body. And if there's comparable alternatives that don't have added sugar, why not just make the swap, right? I mean, nowadays there's mainstream ketchup brands that are doing no sugar added, and there's some different kinds of breads that have no sugar added. So it's pretty easy to find alternatives if you know what you're looking for in the first place. Okay, second tip is to consume healthy fats. So whenever we're talking about sugar, we're usually talking about cravings, right? So healthy fats in your diet can help satisfy these cravings in a healthier way and allow your body to feel that decadent sensation without hitting it with added sugar. So the other tip is to satisfy your sweet cravings in natural ways. And maybe don't even wait until you have a hankering for something sweet, but just incorporate sweeter things in your day in smaller amounts so that you're kind of getting out in front of your cravings. So to do this, and what I've been doing throughout this past month, is really being proactive in keeping fresh fruit in my refrigerator that's already cut up and easy to pull out and just take a few pieces of, or incorporating sweeter vegetables into your meals like carrots and squash, pumpkin, beets. All of those have natural sugars in them. And then the other tip is to swap sugary drinks for healthier ones. So this is kind of a given, but removing those drinks that are going to have added sugar, even if they're quote unquote healthy, sometimes they still have a lot of sugar in them, and you basically are drinking a Coke without drinking a Coke. So swapping it out for naturally infused water or flavored sparkling water, basic things, but help keep what you're drinking interesting so that you aren't bored with just water. The other tip is, when you are buying dairy-free milks, make sure it is unsweetened and not just original. A lot of times the original has added sugar, so you want to make sure you're looking for unsweetened. The last tip is to use spices to your advantage. So use lemon zest, lime zest, fresh herbs, things that are gonna give your food flavor, and you don't feel like you have to add all these extra things into your food to make it something that you're going to enjoy. One of my favorite spices when I am cutting down on sugar is to add cinnamon to things. Cinnamon actually gives your food a sweet illusion without adding sugar. So I'll add cinnamon to my coffee, to my oatmeal, to my smoothies, and it helps give it a sweeter taste without needing that sugar in there. So if you're interested in doing a no sugar added challenge, hit me up. I've got lots of tips. You can check out this blog post on my website, fitlimmyeats.com, to really read through it and digest the information. And then you can get started with some no sugar added recipes that I have on my website, like no sugar added granola clusters and different energy bites that use dates as the sweetener. And then of course those recipes that are in my cookbook as well, Simply Swapped Every Day. So try it for a few days, try it for a week, maybe try it for a month, and just see what happens. See if you experience any changes, if you notice anything about yourself, and that's really the key to feeling better from the inside out, is, kind of playing around with the foods that you're eating and testing out different things, becoming aware of how food affects you, and then making adjustments from there. So I know that my cravings have definitely decreased, I would say, this past month. My skin is a lot more consistently clear, and for the most part, unless it's a really long day or I stay up too late watching Netflix, I have a ton of energy. So it's amazing what small changes can lead to big transformation over time. So hopefully this was helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM. And until then, check out the post on my website, make some yummy no sugar added recipes, and good luck.